Hi, I'm Carla. I'm the computer support teacher at the middle school. I'm going to just spend a few minutes going over some basic tools in Hapara, primarily to show you what you can use to help you if we are at home.
Okay, we have one more person joining us, but we'll just all be on my screen.
That's fine. So I'm going to start by turning on, oh, hello.
Hi. Hi. And someone else, all right.
Yep, okay, this is good. So I'm just going to walk through a couple of quick things in Hapara, help you to get onto Hapara easily, and show you the things that will be useful to you at home. So I'm going to start by presenting my screen. Give me a moment to get that hooked up. And now you should be seeing my desktop. So what you're going to see is whatever I have open on my computer.
Okay.
So the first thing that you would want to do, easiest way to access Hapara at home, is to go to teacherdashboard.com. And more than likely, it will automatically sign you in. But if it doesn't sign you in, you're just using your Google credentials, so that should get you in. Just your email address and your password. So when you get on the dashboard, you should see a screen that looks somewhat like this. It's going to have a list of what your classes are. You will click on a class to be able to see the students in that class. So features that are going to be useful to you from home will be, if you go to class info, this is an easy way to email all of the students in your class. And to email all the students in your class, you just click on the email class button, and it should open in a separate window, opening up your Gmail. If that does not happen for you, that means you haven't set Gmail up as your primary mail account. So I'm going to quick show you how to do that. Down at the bottom in the search bar, and your search button might look a bit like a big white box or just a small magnifying glass. It depends on the settings on your computer. But if you click in here, you can type default, and it will give you lots of options. You can go to default app or just go to default email app and select that. When that is selected, it shows you all the different default things that you can change. The two that should be Chrome related are your email and your web browser. If it's not currently on Chrome, just click on it and choose Chrome from the list. That's the basics of making Gmail your primary mail system. That way this hot link will work correctly through your email account. Any questions on mailing?
No.
So, okay, sounds good. All right, so then the other thing I want to show you is when you are in dashboards, so I'm going to go from class info back to the dashboard. And since I had already opened up this class, which is, in this case, my class is called the 5 to 12 test class, it's showing me all the students that are in here. The pieces of information that are going to be useful to you from this screen are, if you want to share a file, that means push something out so that the kids will have access to it. When you share files through Hapara, they automatically go into the students folder that's already been created for your class. So if you haven't used that before, that's over here under Share Files. You just click on the blue button. And the first thing you would do is select the file that you want to share. And this tends to take you to things that have been used recently or into your drive so you can see your folders. I'm going to open up my folder where I know I have a file that I want to share with my kids, and I just select it. And now it is attached. Two really important pieces to be aware of. Number one, this little box here that says replace existing student file. You do not want that to be checked. If you share a document that has the same name and this is turned on, it will write over top of what is already in the student's folder. So best bet is this check mark should be off. The only time you would use it is, say you sent a document that said snow poetry, and then you realized that there were typing errors in it of some kind that you had missed. You could send snow poetry out again, turn on the check mark, and replace it with the corrected file. That's the only time I would ever choose to use that check mark. So default, make that turned off. The other really important thing to do when you're sharing stuff, good habit to get into, is choose a penned name. When you do the check mark for a penned name, it will automatically take the file that you're doing and it will change the file name to include the student's first and last name. So again, if I'm sending out snow poetry, I don't want to have all of my students to have the exact same file name of just snow poetry. So it should be snow poetry John Smith, snow poetry Susie Jones, whatever. Clicking on a penned name automatically sticks that out. There are different ways to push information out, pardon me, or different types of files you can push out. The one you probably will use the most, especially if you are doing instruction from home, is that you want to send them a copy. It's like sending them a worksheet. That's the default setting. However, you could also send out something. Maybe you have a PDF of a story that you want everybody to read. If you change the permission settings to share read only, they would all be dialing into the same file, but then they would be able to read it without problem. If you turn on share read comment, that allows them to read and put comment bubbles on the document as well. Share read write would be like giving them one file that everybody dials into. The only time I think I would use share read write, or an example of where share read write might be useful, would be if you're sending out a project like a slide presentation and that you have 4 kids working on one slide presentation. Share read write would let all 4 of those kids open up the one slide presentation, and then they could each work on their individual slides, which we often do in the classroom. Again, this is the purpose of remote dialing in. That would be a way to do the sharing on that. I'm going to leave it on copy. Oops, I'm going to turn off my check mark. And then the last piece that you look at is down here. Notice that I have a class here and it's showing the student, this box for students in my drive. See how this triangle is pointing down, this triangle is pointing sideways? That indicates to me that there's more information. If I click on the title, the triangle points down and it shows me that there's another class that I could pull from as well. So if you are teaching 4 sessions of Spanish, you might want to send the same document out to all 4 sessions of Spanish. You can do it by choosing more than one class at a time. So in this case, now my smart share says 2 classes instead of 1 class, but they're leveled classes, so I'm really only going to send to this group. It is possible to send documents through Hapara individually to students, but there would be circumstances where that might happen. But again, I think probably most likely what you'll be using would be the class setting. Does that make sense? Any questions about the Smart Share? Okay, I'm going to cancel that out because I'm not actually going to share that. The other very useful feature for you, if you're using Hapara to assist you if we wind up teaching from home, is again in the dashboard. Now give me one moment to make sure I'm going in the right spot. In sharing, I can see the kids' folders and I can see everything that's in their folders. I can change the number of items that I can see by changing this display. These are all test samples, so, they've got lots of stuff in there. If I want to grade an assignment that I sent out, for example, I did an activity and in the title of the activity was the word reading, I can search for the title of the activity and that will filter so I'm not looking at so many documents. And then if I want to grade, I can just click on this one student's document. open it up to look at it. It's going to open in its own window. Of course, you wouldn't get the ask for permissions because these would be your students, but this would show their document. You could comment on it, you could assess it, you could leave them love notes, and then close it, and that will bring you back to the dashboard because those things will open up in separate tabs. Those are the basic features that I think are probably going to be most useful to you in using Hapara. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and so that I can see faces. And you are welcome to unmute. Does anybody have any questions, or are there any other features in Hapara that you want to know about? I should say out loud, focused browsing will not work at home. So you can't use that feature. And you can't actually see them real time. So you can't look to see if they've got a cartoon open on another tab or anything like that. That feature doesn't work when we're outside of the HTTPS network.
Right.
Can you go back to showing how to search for documents with a specific title? I think I missed that. Like what section do I need to be in?
Absolutely. I'm going to turn my screen back on for you. Here it comes. Okay,
Carla,
so
thank you. We're logging off. Thank you very much.
thank
This is
you.
helpful.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So what I did was when I'm in my class, I went to the sharing tab,
Okay.
which shows me all the stuff that's in their folders. And actually, I think that, and forgive me because I don't use Hapara as often as people with kids do. I think that this shows like all of their files, which is one of the reasons that filtering will be very useful for you. So if you know the name of your document, so again, like if I were doing snow poetry, if these kids had done snow poetry, when I click here in this search window, see where I am? If I were to type snow
I see where
poetry
you
here,
are, but on my Hapara, I don't have the search option.
you
it doesn't
don't
pop
have
up.
this. When you're in sharing, you don't see a little magnifying glass up here.
Right here.
Where? Oh, there. Okay. Found it.
Yeah,
Got it.
right. So when I clicked on it, that expanded this whole window
I see.
looks. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so then when you type in the title, then it just helps to cull the information, filter it out, so it's a little bit easier for you to zip through.
My kids name their documents all these weird things, so I was like, okay, they're gonna have like 18 different things open. Like, how do I look at it?
Absolutely, and that's one of the ways that, or one of the reasons that when you push out stuff, if you give it a specific name and then you append the file name besides, that's going to just help with that grading feature. Again, especially on this, if you're doing the sharing out, that's going to just make your life a little bit easier.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Is there anybody else still here?
Just me, I think.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very
Super.
much.
All right. Thanks. If you need any help, let me know.
Thanks. Bye.
Sure. Bye.